Hey, what's going on? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, host of the State of the Saints podcast. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints second round pick Tyler Shough and him reaching a deal with the New Orleans Saints. And also, if you remember this guy behind me entertaining you throughout your lifetime, then on this day, you already know where our hearts are at.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who that? Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. On this edition, we're going to be talking about quarterback Tyler Shough, and we're also going to be talking about tight end Noah Fant being released by the Seattle Seahawks. And should the New Orleans Saints consider bringing in Noah Fant to add to their offense? But before we get started, as you all see, the backdrop behind me, this was a backdrop that I wasn't intending on using, but unfortunately, Malcolm-Jamal Warner passed away. If you're watching this on a Monday, he passed away on today at the age of 54 years old. He was out vacationing with his family, and unfortunately, he drowned while swimming in Costa Rica. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, for over 4 decades, entertained us. Most of us know him as Theo, his character Theo from the Cosby Show, Theo Huxtable. And of course, if you are probably my age, around your teenage years, young adult, you remember him on a UPN show, Malcolm and Eddie, that was on for quite some time. But Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a very gifted, talented actor, director. He also did a little music as well. And, he will be missed. You don't really see too much, negative things about Malcolm-Jamal Warner. That's pretty, that's pretty, the word I probably I can't even just think of, like, that's unusual. There it is. It's unusual that a guy can be out as long as he has, and you never really hear about any type of scandal, any type of negative things in his life, especially being child actors, where we see Hollywood pretty much chews them up and spits them out sometimes. But he was a class act, and he will be missed, but he leaves a legacy and stuff that we can hold on to and watch and enjoy. His essence and his presence can be found in everything that he did. So once again, rest in peace to the legendary Malcolm-Jamal Warner. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk a little bit about Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough finally reaches a deal with the New Orleans Saints. He gets a 4-year, $10.7.9 million deal. You can round it up to 10.8. Is a guaranteed contract, which you're seeing mostly from these second round picks. So congratulations to Tyler Shough. There's a video or a picture rather on the New Orleans Saints website of him signing his deal. So I know this is an exciting time for Tyler Shough as well as his family. And now they can get down to business and the Saints can get this quarterback competition underway. I don't know what this, is going to indicate as far as the future. Is Tyler Shough the future? I don't know. But it just shows you that the New Orleans Saints are committed to him. They believe in him. When they drafted him in the second round, they felt that he could be possibly the succession plan that they've been looking for since Drew Brees retired. Now, Tyler Shough still has to go out there and he has to compete with Spencer Rattler, who is not just going to give him the job. It's going to be a very interesting training camp watching these two individuals take the reps. No disrespect to Jake Haener, no disrespect to Hunter Deckers, but let's just be serious about this. It is a two-man race between Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler. You think about Jake Haener. Jake Haener has had some injuries, and I just think that it was going to be an uphill battle to begin with. And Hunter Deckers, who has a very intriguing story. This could be a feel-good story one day. A guy that went through the type of adversity he went through to find himself playing in the National Football League. But that time indeed isn't now, if you ask me. But Tyler Shough goes to camp, and I think that it's going to be a very, very fun, entertaining competition. Want to see him in those preseason games, see him spin it along with Spencer Rattler to see finally who has what it takes to be the starter for the New Orleans Saints in 2025. There's several other topics that I want to talk about also. On top of just Tyler Shough, we're also going to be getting into Noah Fant, the tight end, and why I feel like he would be a good fit with this New Orleans Saints offense. There's a few other things that have been going on this week in regards to the New Orleans Saints. The rookie deal of Tyler Shough, of course. Fan sentiment trending positive towards the New Orleans Saints this season. A recent SB Nation reaction poll shows 71% of Saints fans feel more confident now compared to a few months ago, with many attributing their optimism to the offseason movements and upcoming training camp. All right, so people are attributing some of the upcoming, training camp competitions, some of these other things that are happening when it comes to Kellen Moore. They're being optimistic about it, so that chunks it up. So a lot of positive things happening within the Who Dat Nation. Also, the Saints signed defensive end Jonathan Bullard, adding depth to their front seven. He's a big guy. He's about 294 pounds, nearly 300. He's probably going to be one of those run-stuffing guys that the Saints want to utilize now that they are a 3-4 defense. But we'll get into all that in just a second. But right now, I want to acknowledge those that are in the chat right now. Shouts out to you if you are pulling up to the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I ask that you hit the like button. And shouts out to everybody that has checked out the State of the NFL podcast that has been underway for the last couple of weeks. Tonight's episode will be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. That's probably going to be the normal spot where it's going to reside for right now. We have Emory Hunt from CBS Sports, college football analyst. I sat down with him, talked a little bit about some of the rookies in the National Football League, and I asked him which rookies that he felt would be hitting the ground running and give their teams immediate impact. And we also talked about Jaden Daniels. We talked about Tyler Shough's contract, and also, Shedeur Sanders. Could he be the starting quarterback for the Browns? So make sure you check that out. State of the NFL podcast on YouTube. What I do right now, I'll go ahead and I'll put that link inside of the chat. So if you have not subscribed to the channel already, or you haven't checked out any episodes, you can go ahead and hit that link and it'll bring you right there, and you'll be able to check out some of the episodes we have done so far. We're off and running, folks. We're off and running. Let me go ahead and start with Eugene. Says, rest in peace, Theo Aloysius Huxtable, a.k.a. Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Look, man, I still can't believe this, man. Like I said, this guy has been the epitome of positivity. Every time you see him in an interview, I mean, he's classy. He's a class act. He was a guy that, like I said, Hollywood has a way of chewing up those childhood actors, especially in the 80s. But, he was able to kind of weather the storm and, pretty much come out unscathed. Like, I never heard anything negative about Malcolm-Jamal Warner. I honestly haven't. So that just tells you, like, the type of person that he is, the type of individuals that he surrounded himself with to keep him honest and keep him true. So, it's unfortunate that happened, man. And I was looking at his last video that he posted, and the energy that he had, basically just telling people to smile and and be positive and to be a positive influence in someone's life. Great individual, man. Great individual from everything that I've seen. Very positive energy from that guy. What's happening, TJ and Who That family? We need a moment of silence for Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Yeah, man. We definitely we definitely want to remember him, in our thoughts and our prayers to him and his family. If you were a fan of the Cosby Show, this definitely hits hard. Salute to you, TJ, for doing this. Look, man, I'm a huge Malcolm-Jamal Warner fan. Like, this ain't hyperbole up in this thing. I can remember watching him and everything. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm-Jamal Warner, he was like, the cool guy, growing up as a kid. Everybody wanted to be Theo Huxtable, when especially like when he became like a teenager, he used to be rocking all the cool little hip hop brands and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, he just carried himself, man. It was Malcolm-Jamal Warner and it was Dwayne Wayne, Kadeem Hardison. Everybody wanted to be those guys. Everybody wanted to flip up glasses. And everybody kind of wanted to be cool just like these guys, man. So yeah, I definitely grew up watching Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Hey TJ, an after show boy tonight for a change. Well, not an after show boy. Well, look, even if you were an after show boy, I just really do appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, and we'll scroll down a little bit. Malcolm was one of those guys we always say we want our daughters to date. Integrity with a good heart. Yeah. Now, what I say, man, I ain't never heard nobody say nothing negative about the dude. Like, you ain't never really heard no negative stuff. I mean, everything, about him was like pretty much positive, man. Even like when, with his fiance, the late Michelle Williams. Some of you probably watch Family Matters. She was Myra on there and she battled with cancer. I mean, he was there holding her hand to the very end. Dude just was a classy guy, man. It's sad that stuff like this happen, man. Sometimes, bad things happen to good people, man. But it also gives us a cause to pause, and also put our life into perspective, man, and realize that life is precious, man. And you want to make sure that you touch, as many people as you possibly can. There's this gospel song that people often sing. They say, if I can help somebody as I travel along the way, then my living will not be in vain. Like, you want to make sure that you help somebody, touch somebody's life in a positive way. And when, you close your eyes, somebody can have something positive to say about you. TJ, Shough was doing an interview with Gruden. The last thing the kid is scared. Homie has a dog mentality. I haven't checked out the Gruden interview. I know he was on there. There's a couple of little Saints things I do have to catch up with. I said, man, I've been absorbing so much NFL content, man, over the last couple of days, man, just trying to focus on the NFL podcast brand. But I also keep my, ear to what's going on with the New Orleans Saints too, man. So didn't get a chance to check out that interview just yet, but everything that I heard about it was all pretty much optimistic views from fans. So when I get a chance, I'm gonna check it out. They be tweeting and be posting. Yeah, man. Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out to them after show girls. I think y'all want to hear this song, man.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Out to all the after show boys and after show girls out there. One of my favorites is when Malcolm did Ray Charles and James Brown for the grandparents' anniversary. I think everybody liked that episode, man. And also the ugly shirt. When I think one of them like sold the shirt and he had like a shirt for the dance or something like that. You like, you like this shirt? Like, this the ugliest shirt I ever seen. Yeah, man, probably everybody's favorite episode, that shirt episode, and when they did the Ray Charles song. That's probably everybody's favorite episode. TJ, what they know about the Gordon Cottrell? No, I just brought that up, man. The Gordon Cottrell. And boys, that's the ugliest shirt I ever seen. Malcolm and Eddie was my favorite show. Yeah, I think a lot of people like Malcolm and Eddie, man. I think that was a staple on UPN. I think a lot of people, everybody, some people like met him during the Cosby Show. Some of us met him through Malcolm and Eddie. But wherever you met him, man, he's a good actor, man. He has range. So Let's see. It can't be overstated how big the Theo Huxtable character not being in the game, slinging dope, or being a deviant was for the culture in the mid to late 80s. Malcolm was the perfect fit for Theo. Yeah, man. He showed like a different side. I mean, the Cosby Show itself, like, despite what's going down, I know this is a football show, folks, but y'all know how it go, man. I just answer the questions as they go and read the comments. So y'all dictate the show. But when it comes down to it, when it came down to it, like, you ain't really see too much like that. Like, most of the time, like, when they used to show like African Americans or depict them in any way, it was like poverty, like good times, as funny as those shows was, as good as those shows was, good times. Sanford and Son, they were in a junkyard in Watts. You ain't really have too many shows where you had Heathcliff Huxtable, who was a doctor, and Claire Huxtable, who was a lawyer, and they lived in the upper, east side of New York City. And like they wasn't struggling. They weren't like, oh Lord, what we gonna do now? It was like a different type of character. And like you said, Theo, man, he wasn't out here slanging, banging. He wasn't none of that. He showed a positive, depiction of a young up and coming African American male. And that was something that I think a lot of people needed to see. It was criticized at times, because of they felt like he wasn't, that type of status quo or what's really going on. But man, everybody ain't struggling. Like, every African American ain't struggling, and this dude did it the right way. I like this character, and I think that, being in the 80s, you needed somebody like Theo Huxtable to show that there's a way that you can, grind, and there's a way that you can be positive, and you still, don't mean that you're gonna be corny. Like, he wasn't corny, man. He was a good character. TJ Denise said, just tuck it in. Theo was like, it's tucked into my socks. When Denise suggests that Theo stick the Gordon Cottrell shirt in his pants, he yelled, "There my socks." Let's see. The Cosby Show was the anti-struggle show. Yep, definitely was, man. Definitely was the anti-struggle show. Definitely was a show that, like I said, gave you a positive depiction of the African American family. Especially, like I said, it was in the 80s. I think Cosby came out in 1982, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, that was a good thing. But let's go ahead, man. We could talk about Malcolm-Jamal Warner all night. I'm pretty sure a lot of you will, because a lot of us are around the same age group for the most part. Or some of us, like, for the majority, like, remember Malcolm-Jamal Warner for, a lot of the things that he did. But, let's talk a little bit about Tyler Shough, and what do you all think about his contract? A lot of these second round picks have been getting these these guaranteed contracts. I want to say Travion Henderson has with the Patriots. I mentioned Carson Swessinger and also Jaden Higgins. They're receiving guaranteed deals. There were a few more guys that received guaranteed deals. Most close to it, Mason Taylor, former LSU Tiger, almost got a guaranteed deal. I want to say he got about 91% of his contract. So it just seems like this is a new trend. And, I don't have an issue. I told you, I don't have an issue with the New Orleans Saints doing this. Like, some people like, man, he ain't proved nothing. But when the Saints went out here and they drafted this guy this high, it pretty much told you that they want him to be the starter. Like, they're not going to give it to him, but they want him to be the starter. So if they can, give him that money in order to put his mind at ease so he can go out there and, and perform at a high level and don't have to worry about, oh, man, what happens if I get hurt? I ain't got a contract, this, that, and the third. Then it's a good thing, And, I just want to see a really strong training camp from both guys. I want to see some real strong performances in preseason from both guys. I would like to see a little bit more from Spencer Rattler. I would like to see some levels of improvement from year one to year two, not to mention that you had 6 games that you started in under your belt. So I feel like you should be able to be hitting the ground running a little bit more ahead of the curve than Tyler Shough. I expect some highs and lows. Comes with the territory of being a rookie. But, I just want to see something that you can look forward to going forward. I don't want to see just struggle game at the struggle game. I want to see these guys improve and get better. And I know that you're not going to get a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type performances weekly out of these guys. But to show that, there's a bright future ahead for the New Orleans Saints offense is good enough for me at this point. I think we'll start evaluating, guys and stuff like that. Once, I guess once Kellen Moore gets acclimated, once he starts to get, himself situated and stuff like that, that's when, I think that everybody's going to start evaluating him accordingly. Jerry said 1984. Yeah, 1984. I don't know why I say 82, but yeah, 1984 is when the Cosby Show first came out. Let's see. When Justin broke up with Theo and Cliff introduced him to the blues, it was also a sneaky intro to many youngsters, viewers to the blues as well. Yeah, I mean, look, the Cosby Show introduced a lot of people to a lot of things. African American community to a different style, a different perspective of probably what they weren't used to, and also HBCUs, man, with a different world. Like a lot of us got introduced to HBCUs through a different world, and that's the reason why some of us attended HBCUs. And some of those people that don't know what HBCU is, that's a historical black college or university, right? It was based on a fictional university, Hillman University, that was located in Virginia. So, yeah, I mean, the Cosby, did, they definitely, showed people a different perspective from an African American experience and what you actually used to seeing during the times of, like late 70s, early 80s television. I can go in all day, all night on that kind of stuff, man. But like I said, this is a sports show. I can get in depth with y'all, but yeah, we're gonna kind of keep it sports on this. Looking forward to seeing the unveiling of the new units tomorrow. Yeah, me too, man. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a gold jersey. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like. But that's just more optimism. Like I mentioned, SB Nation says 71% of Saints fans are more optimistic about the football team now that they've seen some of these moving parts. Now you got to play the game. This is just a quarterly approval rating, if you ask me. All these numbers are subject to change if you don't put forth a good product on the field. It would just be a huge, ginormous waste of time, like if you're doing it. TJ, a lot of fans siding with one quarterback over the other, while I'm just over here sipping my cognac, rooting for whoever earns the job to get the nod. I don't care either. I don't care either. I don't see why people like in these groups, going back and forth about who they feel the quarterback needs to be in this, that, and the third. I could care less. I don't care if it's Shough or Rattler. I like both guys. When they signed on the dotted line and the Saints are my favorite team, I'm rooting for any guy that the starting quarterback. I don't care who it is. And that's the way it should go. I don't get, why people got to, pin these dudes up against each other. I have absolutely no idea. I don't feel like that's healthy because in a way you need both of these guys to be able to do something because we both know that attrition has not been, happy, a very favorable to the New Orleans Saints. There you go. Not very favorable, like the battle of attrition. They have lost it year after year. So you're probably going to need both of these quarterbacks to be available, right? I mean, we know that injuries occur. Like since 2019, the New Orleans Saints have had quarterbacks get knocked out of games, miss games. So they need these guys to be available, if you ask me. So I don't know what people talking about. As far as I want Rattler, I want both guys to work out because you're probably gonna need both. TJ, would you consider a 7-10 season a success? I think I would. If they were 7-10, it depends on how that 7-10 look. If you just beating up on teams that probably, on the struggle bus, are probably missing a whole bunch of players and you basically just kind of wipe them out, then, I'll probably look at it differently. But if you, out of those 7 teams, if it's some teams that the NFL, prognosticators and people that predict games are saying that the Saints were going to get blow out, like let's just say if they play the Bills and they win, like that's impressive. They play the Rams and they win. That's impressive. Like some games where the teams are going to be extremely favorable when it comes to the win column. and the Saints end up winning, that's when I feel like, if a couple of those games equate to 7 wins, then I would be impressed. But if you just beating up on bottom feeders and guys and teams that probably missing this guy and that guy, starting quarterback, this, that, and the third, I don't know how impressive that would be. The way HBCUs were deposited on Cosby and on A Different World were differently instrumentals in my college decision making. Proud Southern Jaguar. Yeah, man. Look, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm just joking. Nah, but seriously, yeah, I agree with you, man. It definitely helped, a lot of people, know about HBCUs, and like I said, it gave HBCUs momentum. I think a lot of people chose HBCUs because of that. Dio felt like he was one of your old homies or cousins from down the block. He seemed like a cool, positive type of dude. Yeah, man. That's what I say. I was checking out an interview he did on a Breakfast Club a couple of months ago, and like I said, man, his energy is just infectious. And like some people just sit up there and want to use all these big words and basically just want to big up themselves. Like he ain't like that, man. You can tell like that's his personality. Man, sometimes, man, when people talk, when people speak, like you can like feel their energy. Like you can feel like if a person's energy is like real, genuine, and true. And just listening to this dude talk, man, it just, you can tell like he has he had a really like positive energy. And that's good. And that, like I said, that's something that people need to keep with them, I mean, this guy left a legacy over 4 decades of work. That's pretty doggone impressive. Already read that. Let's see. I just hope Shough pans out. Yeah, me too, man. But like I said, that's what the competition is for. That's what the Saints need to have these competitions for. But let's go ahead and stop right here. Let's talk a little bit about Noah Fant. Noah Fant was released by the Seattle Seahawks. Noah Fant is 27 years old. He's 6'4", 249 pounds. Of course, he came out of the University of Iowa. I believe he was a first-round pick. His NFL career started back in 2019. As a career, for his career, he had 300 catches, 3,305 yards, 15 touchdowns over 92 games. In 2004, with the Seattle Seahawks, he had 48 receptions, 500 yards, 1 touchdown, averaged 10.4 yards a catch in 14 games. He was ranked approximately 18 out of 37 tight ends in total receiving yards, PFF grade, according to PFF. So, look, this is what people are saying. I post that the Saints need to call up Noah Fant immediately. And some people are like, for what? Oh, he just like Juwan Johnson. Oh, man, we already got Juwan Johnson. Oh, this dude ain't good. Look, man, I gotta get on my soapbox again, and I'm gonna question a lot of you that don't watch football. And I'm getting tired of it. Like, seriously. I'm getting tired of these contrarian social media broadband warriors out there that always just want to be negative but don't know what the hell they talking about. I'm serious, man. I really honestly believe that we have gone down this rabbit hole of wanting attention so badly that we're willing to like just look like the heel. Like, like if you watch wrestling and the heel's job is basically for the fans to boo them or just to get attention on themselves. I feel like that's what this social media thing has come to. Like, I don't even feel like a lot of people are giving their genuine thoughts and views. It's just the fact that they want to counteract something that you say. Because I'm not saying Noah Fant is all pro, but I am going to say that Noah Fant going to the Seattle Seahawks, it didn't match his skill set. Anybody that watched Noah Fant in Denver knows that he was completely different tight end in Seattle. Why? Because the way that Seattle plays offense. They use these two tight end sets, and they use these tight ends to basically block. Noah Fant is not a really strong blocking tight end. He's a pass catching tight end. He's a receiving tight end. He's a guy that he will get open. He will make plays. That's the reason why if you go to his stats when he was in Denver, and let me go ahead and pull that up for people that don't realize it. Noah Fant was a completely different tight end. Like, he was a part of a trade. He ended up going to the Seattle Seahawks with the Russell Wilson deal. When Russell Wilson was traded from the Seattle Seahawks. But when he was with the Denver Broncos, like he was making an impact. Like, let me see, going back to his, to his rookie year back in 2019, he had 40 catches. He was targeted 66 times, 562 yards. He then in 2020 he had 62 receptions for 673 yards. 2021, 68 receptions, 90 targets, 670 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then when he gets to Seattle, look at the down tick: 50 receptions, 32 receptions, 48 receptions. If you watch the Seattle Seahawks, you know that they're not a tight end friendly team. Do y'all remember when Jimmy Graham was traded to the Seattle Seahawks and how hard it was for him to get on the field because he wasn't a strong blocker? Do y'all remember that? They had to basically change around their offense that second year, and that's when Jimmy Graham started to catch on. That's when he started to get hot because they changed around the offense to make sure that he is able to catch the ball. Noah Fant would be able to thrive in the Saints offense because if you look at what Kellen Moore has done with tight ends throughout his entire time in the National Football League, from Dalton Schultz, from Gerald Everett, from Pullum, from all these different guys that he has gotten paid, Dallas Goedert most recently with Philadelphia. When he has those receiving tight ends, he utilizes them in a major way. I mean, he also schemes for guys to be able to get yards after the catch. Noah Fant has that type of athleticism. If he catches the ball, he can get those yards after the catch. He would thrive in the New Orleans Saints offense. But some of you probably don't know that because as soon as he got released and somebody was mentioning, I want to say Trizzy also mentioned maybe the Saints going after Noah Fant. Y'all always went to Wikipedia or ESPN, looked at his stats, seen what he did last season, and said, oh, no, he ain't it. Like, miss me with all that, man. If you can't really talk the X's and O's, the Willers and Joes, or watch the football games, I'm not even going to say understand the X's and O's because everybody don't really understand X's and O's. But if you ain't even watching the Seattle Seahawks or seeing what is transpiring or how their offense operates, then come on, man, miss me with that nonsense, man. That's just contrarian behavior. Everybody wants to be Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith now. Oh, what's the most controversial take that I can have? Everybody's saying Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. No, he's not. And I'm going to tell you why. Like, man, miss me with that, man. Noah Fant is a talented tight end. He just needs to go to a system that mostly focuses on his athleticism. And the Saints will be able to do that. So there's not a person out there that can make me think otherwise. I've watched this dude since he was at Iowa. Dude is a beast. Dude can catch the ball. Dude definitely can be a red zone threat. Dude can be the middle of the field threat. And yes, I feel like he's better than Juwan Johnson, given the situation. If they both were put in the same identical situation, Noah Fant, I would take Noah Fant over Juwan Johnson. No disrespect to Juwan Johnson, but there's levels to being a tight end. One guy has been a tight end for about 3 years. Other guy has been a tight end his entire career. So, yes, I would take Noah Fant over Juwan Johnson. And I think that the Saints offense would be better if Noah Fant was the starting tight end for the Saints. But that's just me. Hate to say it, but I don't know if Taysom makes the roster. Yeah, Taysom gonna make the roster. He'll make the roster. He's not gonna start the season. He probably start the season on PUP. They probably end up activating him midway through the season. I'm with you, TJ. Too many people know ball are trying to infuse their ignorance on the rest of us fanatic savants. Look, all I'm saying is, man, look, it just bothers me. Like I'm just being 100, man. Like if it's working for you, man, if you're thriving because you're doing it, cool, man. But I just can't get down with the contrarian behavior. It's like every podcast, for the most part, I'm looking at people trying to find the most controversial takes they can have in order for them to get attention. Like I'm good with that, man. Like if this your genuine feelings, cool. But it's just like most of the time, people spend most of their time trying to go against the grain because they feel like that's going to shed light on them or big up them, because that's what society, is starting to make people think. They think that you have to have this controversial take or this hill-like persona in order for you to be able to thrive in the podcasting world. Maybe it worked for some people, but that just like it ain't. I don't understand it, man. Like if we're gonna have a conversation, don't just have a conversation to see if I can shut up. Like let it be legit. Like, man, I took some time. I checked out Noah Fant. I've been watching like the Seattle Seahawks games, and I just think that he ain't it. But when I know for a fact that you hurry up and watch Google, like looked at Google or ESPN, and you just check the stats, and then all of a sudden, like he ain't got 1,000 yards, and all of a sudden you're in my face, or you talking about he ain't it, like that ain't enough for me. That ain't enough for me, man. Are you watching the games? Or are you just sitting up here just trying to act like you matter because you're trying to hurry up and, put some Wikipedia, Google stats out there in order for you to go against the grain, man. This contrarian culture, man, it just burn you the hell out. I'm serious, man. Like, have some real takes. Be yourself. Hate to say it, but already read that. Says when Jeremiah Smith coming out. Well, Jeremiah Smith can't come out until at least 2027. He's a true sophomore. So, like, he can be a part of the 2027 draft. But that's a special kid right there, man. That's the next. If he stay healthy, that's the next big star. Him and Ryan Williams. We've been missing a real tight end since Jimmy G. I agree. TJ is all about context and nuance. Depending on how certain things play out, a 5-12 can end up being more positive than an 8-9 season. Establishing culture and player development are key. Well, look, I think an 8-9 season is a little bit more productive than a 5-12 season. I mean, you can look for the positive in both, right? None of them seem like that would be a playoff berth. I mean, unless the season just goes absolutely haywire. We've seen teams with losing records end up making a postseason, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I just think that people just want to see a better product than they have seen over the last couple of years. If they want to see this team trending in the right direction. If they're trending in the right direction, I think that people will be okay with it because they understand what the Saints are pretty much up against, aging roster. They're trying to figure out their salary cap issues. And then on top of that, you got a lot of uncertainty at a lot of positions that are key to success of teams. Quarterback position, right? Cornerback position, wide receivers. Like, you got to be able to check all those boxes, and you got to make sure that you have, be clicking on all cylinders. So, I don't think people are really evaluating this team the way that we would normally evaluate a Saints season. But I don't think they need to take that for granted. I think they need to try to exceed their expectations. And I think that'll make a lot of Saints fans extremely optimistic. Brother TJ, do you believe the franchise quarterback is on the roster? I mean, it's hard to say, man. I think that these preseason games and the regular season is going to tell us that. But right now, I would say I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, if I was to say yes, it would just be because I like both guys and I think both guys have talent. But I can't definitively say that they have the starting franchise quarterback on their team yet. Brother TJ, do you already read that? Says if the price is right for Fant, you easily get more value out of Noah Fant than Juwan Johnson. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think he's gonna be asking for. Shouts out to Aaron. I don't think that he's going to be asking for a lot of money. I don't. I think his skill set. Would be a good. I think it would be a good fit for Kellen Moore's offense. And honestly, like I said, I don't think he's going to be asking for a lot of money. Like, he's not going to try to break the bank or anything like that. I think that he would probably be okay with a prove it deal, going out there, making some plays and going back to the negotiating table again next season. I think that he would be. Telling you now, are we going to be better than 5-12? I believe that. I believe the Saints can win more than 5 games. Long as they play good ball, I'm all in. I want to see the next stars up. Yeah, I think a lot of people want to see what these young players can do in the game. I think, the Saints' success is going to, be determined by how well these young players go out there and produce. If they do produce, I'm not saying they got to be the 2017 draft class, but if you can get some guys that's a part of this rookie class to make an impact, I think that the Saints could trend in the right direction. Most of the time, like when you see these teams that's, part of the rebuild process, they hit in the draft, you start to see the team start to turn it around. Like I always mention Detroit. Like Detroit, they started drafting well, getting Amon-Ra St. Brown, getting Aiden Hutchinson, getting Jack Campbell, getting Terrion Arnold, getting Brian Branch. Like they started to get like really talented guys, and they started building their team around them. Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, like all of these guys, like homegrown guys. They drafted them, and they've been hitting in the draft constantly, and that's the reason why they have had success. But with that, you got to make sure you strike while the iron is hot. Like the Detroit Lions right now, they have a window that's open, but they start like losing some of these games, kind of like how the Saints did when they were winning all these games, winning the division, getting the number 1, number 2 seed in the NFC, but they had nothing to show for it. And then all of a sudden, these guys up for a contract. You got to split this team up, and now you got to go back and try to reinvent this wheel. And it's hard for teams to do. So you got to be able to strike while the iron is hot. The Saints had their opportunity with that 2017 draft class. The window just flew open. You got to be able to capitalize on that. The fact that so many of you taking sides with these quarterbacks show how fickle y'all are. Those boys wear the same black and gold colors. Shouldn't be rooting against one or the other. Well, that's how people, that's how things go. People just want to be right about something. Look, I don't care. Like, I tell you, like, these competitions are healthy for the team. It's for the betterment of the team. But once the depth chart comes together, whatever the Saints put together, that's what I'm rooting for. And the guys that's coming in at backup, I'm rooting for them too. That's the way it should go. Like, but it's never that way. TJ, debate culture TV, and some, not all segments of social media are the worst thing to happen to honest observation and opinion forming. Lots of cloud chasing and wannabe heels. Look, this is the way I feel about it, right? I just feel like the modern day, like, sports podcaster, analyst, prognosticator, like, everybody now is basically trying to be what Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless were, right? Like, debate. They want to debate, like how those guys will like have these shows all the time and they just never agree on anything. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, y'all have like over 400-500 takes and y'all don't agree on nothing except for like social justice issues. Like, come on, give me a freaking break, man. All this stuff is like entertainment at the end of the day. But at the same time, it's like everybody is trying to be that individual. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why everybody wants to be like that. Like that's if that's like your personality, then that's fine. But people try to take on these personas, and like I said, it just kind of weighs then. If everybody's basically doing the same thing, like, who's standing out? And people like just eating that stuff up. Like, it's I don't know, man. That's just not the way I would want to do or conduct business, because I'm a firm believer looking at myself in the mirror, and I want to stay true to the people that support me for what I'm doing. That's why, honestly, man, like, if you was to ask me a couple of years ago, do I care about numbers and subscribers and stuff like that, I would probably say, yeah, like, I do. But I know that the majority of the people that still here rocking with me is because they rock with me as a person, right? I didn't sell out or become something that I didn't want to be. And I probably, what I'm saying, in the end, I probably could have created a character, but I don't want to be that. And I just don't understand what people get from that. I just think that that's dangerous stuff right there, man, because everybody just wants to be there. Everybody wants to be the heel who walks into the arena and everybody just start booing. If that's your personality, man, you can live with it, then cool. But I think a lot of people just like to go against the grain because you're that one comment, you're that one video that stands out among everything else if everybody is in agreement, right? With the exception of Quincy Riley and Calvin Banks Jr., majority of our rookies this year have an uphill battle to crack the starting rotation. Special teams is where they should prepare to begin. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, Vernon Brayton, you know what I'm saying? Brighton, he might end up being in that starting rotation because he kind of fits that scheme, man. Like he fits that 3-4 scheme. So he might have a better chance at doing it. And also Tyler Shough. I mean, like you said, Tyler Shough has a strong chance of starting too, right? Right. I mean, but yeah, I agree. Like when you look at like Danny Strutzman, you know, Devin Neal, Sinker, like all these different guys, it might be kind of tough, and special teams might be their way, Aaron. I agree with you on that. But yeah, but they got some guys out here, man, that I feel like probably gonna be in that starting rotation because of the change of defensive scheme. Let's see, what up, TJ? I went to Slapfest 14, saw a lot of Saints players hanging out together over there. I think we're going to be a hard team to beat this year, win or lose. They look like they're going to be locked in. Well, that's the only thing that you need, for this team to do is be locked in. And hopefully they buy into what Kellen Moore is selling, and Kellen Moore can be able to get the best out of these players. If we can sign Fant, that would make the offseason way more successful than any of us expected. Any word on Samuel Jr.? I haven't heard anything about Sante Samuel Jr. I don't know if that the neck issue is a little bit more severe than people think, or maybe he just out here weighing his options. I don't know. But he got to do what's best for him, and best for his future. So if the doctors are telling him it might be kind of tough for him to hit the field or something could possibly happen, man, you got to listen to the doctors. I want to see him play, but I don't want to see it at the expense of his future being in jeopardy. TJ, are we getting a new full unit or just a jersey? If it's just a gold jersey, it better not be just plain gold with no accents or originality. Can't hype us up for just a basic jersey. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see how they're going to do this. I believe there's going to be a gold jersey. I'll be shocked if it's not. I don't know if it's going to be a whole, coordination, or they just gonna rock some black pants with it. But whatever it is, man, it just generates excitement, and this is something that the Saints fans need right now. Like Saints fans need excitement. Like all of this doom and gloom energy, man, that's within the Who Dat Nation. I just think that people don't want that, right? That's why I'm just being carefully optimistic, right? I mean, I'm just observing the team until it's proven otherwise. Like I'm kind of even keel right now. And I just think that's where a lot of people just need to reside right now. And, if it doesn't pan out, then cool. I mean, if it doesn't pan out the way that we all want it to be, then that's fine, and then we can talk about it and address it, and hopefully they can fix it, down the line. But saying that the team gonna suck, they're gonna stink. We haven't seen a game. We haven't seen a practice. Like, kind of hard for me to just kind of buy into that. Danny Strutzman will be in the rotation. I agree. I think he will be in the rotation. I think he's going to be playing in games based on what we see from Demario Davis and P. Warner. They have been nicked up throughout the year. So you have to believe that Strutzman could possibly be in that rotation. Who in their right minds would think the Saints would be okay in the NFC? Really? I mean, I don't think anybody in their right minds, feel like the Saints are going to like win a Super Bowl or anything like that. But we see teams get a coach, like, and the team buys in and the team exceeds expectations. Like we see this. Like we've seen this before. It's not like, it hasn't happened. Like nobody expected the New Orleans Saints in 2006 to do anything. Like nobody expected. Like you coming off Katrina, the most tragic, devastating thing in American history almost. Like your entire city get wiped out, players displaced, nowhere to stay, living in suitcases, all these different things, man. Nobody expecting the New Orleans Saints to beat 10-6, go to an NFC championship game. I'm not saying that's going to happen this season, but I'm just saying funnier things happen. Like when teams start to get a coach they buy into, players start to buy into the system, they feel like, man, if I just do my job, then we're going to have success. Then, man, the sky's the limit. Like, man, if you ever been on a team, like, if y'all boys going to show up, like, just looking around at the room, like, who going to bring it. If they not there, how that's going to affect the team. Like, these things, man. Like, it. So, I don't know, man. I don't know how bad it's going to be. I don't know how good it's going to be. But like I said, I'm just kind of even keel. And I'll address it accordingly. Some people want to say, man, TJ, you said that it wasn't going to be so bad. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying it's gonna be like I'd rather be even killed. Like it's never either or, right? It's rather you got to be outraged about everything or you even kill about it, right? And if you even kill, then everybody coming like it's no in between. Like nobody pays attention to perspective anymore. Like no, it's rather you're for this or you're against it. It's never like you're in between. Like I'm open. I'm subject to like both parties. It's never that, right? It's rather oh man, you up here, or you down here, and it's like one like I tweeted, I made a tweet, in reference to what I'm saying right now, and somebody like, man, pin it. So pin it if you believe that. Like, bruh, what's there to believe? Like as of today, like I don't feel like is you need to be outraged about something you haven't seen. Like, what's there to pin? Like, if it don't end up being what I'm saying that it is, then I pretty much said that, I will adjust accordingly. So there's no reason to pin anything. But like I said, it's like people want you to like jump out the window or, stay inside the building. And I don't get it, man. Like people don't listen to perspective or logic or hear people expound on anything. All they see is the fine print. And then they can't even analyze that, which is very troubling. Very troubling these days, man. Better than Dennis the Menace as our coach still. Yeah. I rather see these boys fumble all over themselves than see Dennis Allen on the sidelines. We need another Hurricane Katrina type of hurricane so the Saints can win the Super Bowl again. Man, you smoking that. Man, you smoking that I don't know what you smoking, man. You smoking the Mazals films, man. Nobody want no hurricane. I ain't trying. Look, I don't care how much winning can happen. I don't want to see no more hurricanes. I don't want to see that, man. Lost a lot of people I know. Lost a lot of things that I'm familiar with. I ain't trying to see that. Not at this, like just to see the Saints win no football game. If they can't win a football game without anything of any type of tragedy taking place, then man, they're not a very good football team. Brandon smoking that hopium. Nah, ain't even no hopium. They ain't even hopium. I don't know what that boy smoke. That boy smoking that. I don't know. That man smoking them propane fumes up in there. That man smoking out a propane tank. Nobody want that, man. Nobody want that, buddy. Ain't nobody checking for that. TJ, there is room for optimism. The Saints fans that wish bad on the Saints are not fans. I'm looking forward to the season. I don't want to say they not fans. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say they not fans, DJ. What I'm saying is like last year was last year. Like you can't change that. This is a completely different season. Everybody is 0-0. Like until proven otherwise, then why get yourself all worked up about stuff like that? I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. Right? Hey man, at the end of the day, it's like when if it happens, then let's talk about it. But I don't want to say they're not fans. I just think that people are just frustrated. They're frustrated because they want to see a winning product. Some people I've mentioned here several times, they're not used to seeing the Saints look the way that they have. Like in their adulthood or in their lifetime, they're not used to seeing the Saints struggle. Like they're used to the Saints losing, but they're not used to the struggle. Like, so this is uncharted territory for some. But, like just like many teams that have went through dry spells, the organization has to find a way to kick out of it, right? How can you judge what you have not seen? Saints will be better than last year. Like, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be better than last year or not, but I agree with what you're saying. Like, I'm willing to wait and see. I'm not just gonna say, oh man, they gonna suck. This guy gonna suck. He old, he washed. Cam Jordan, I don't want to get into all that, right? Dudes they might find some guys on this team that might end up playing like really, really good. Guys that you don't expect to do anything, light might come on for them because they're utilizing them the way that they should. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, just wait. Like, why we? I don't understand. Like, why everybody just gotta, jump to conclusions. Like, just wait. That's the only time we won a Super Bowl. Well, nah, that ain't true. That ain't true because look, the Saints went to the NFC Championship game a year after Katrina. They didn't win a Super Bowl. That's why, like, when people talk about, man, they felt sorry for y'all, they gave y'all a championship. Wouldn't it make more sense? The New Orleans Saints went to the NFC Championship against the Bears a year after Katrina. Wouldn't it make more sense if the NFL felt sorry for the Saints to have them beat Chicago and let the Saints go to the Super Bowl against Indianapolis, before they win in 2009? Like, make that make sense. Like, if I'm feeling sorry for somebody, right, I'm saying, somebody lost everything that they have, would it make sense for me to give them money 4 years later to help them out of their situation? No, that doesn't make any sense. And if people really think about the things that they actually say before they actually say them, then they'll realize how ridiculous they sound. Like, that didn't make any sense. Like, that wouldn't that have been a perfect time to pull the trigger in 2006? The Saints in the NFC Championship game, 10-6, taking on the Chicago Bears. That would have made perfect sense. Then you would have, like, if you wanted to make an argument, man, the league felt sorry for y'all. Man, in 2006, y'all won the Super Bowl. They're going to wait 4 years after Katrina hit to give the Saints a Super Bowl? Knock it off. Knock it off. Sorry, TJ, that you lost loved ones. I live in Chicago, so I didn't know anyone at the time. I apologize. Nah, man. I mean, look, when you talk about stuff like that, Brandon, I mean, that triggers a lot of people, man, because, man, you got people out here, man, that really went through it, man. People on top of their rules, man. Like, it brings back bad memories, man. So, yeah, man, I don't like to. You definitely don't want to see anything like that, man. A hurricane is a very dangerous thing. It's a serious thing. And a lot of people's lives would change. And some people's lives wasn't the same after that. TJ, people think this is Madden. You don't win games on paper. You got to prove it, whether you're a favorite or not. Yep, that's the way that it goes, man. You got to be able to bring your A game every single time. The dude who wishing the hurricane changes our fortunes is not only feeding the Saints, we're giving a Super Bowl due to Katrina trolls, and is clearly on a good spook. Robinson Dopey and we look, man. Like you said, man, he apologized though, but yeah, that touches a lot of people though, man. Really does. It really touches a lot of people, man. It triggers a lot of things, so we don't want to get into that. But my final thoughts before we get up out of here. Happy Tyler Shough got his contract. Jonathan Bullard, coming in, adding depth to the interior, I think is a good thing. I think the Saints just trying to beef up the defensive line. It's good that we're seeing more Saints fans be more optimistic about the team. Definitely didn't want to be on that same energy it was, in the off season, right after the season. So it's good to see some people actually are feeling positive about the direction of the team. Also, just waiting for training camp. I'm just excited to see some competition. Excited to see what this New Orleans Saints team is going to look like in 2025. What can Kellen Moore bring to the table? Will they add more offensive weaponry, defensive weaponry to the team? We'll see as time goes on. I'm just hoping that these guys can get out of training camp virtually unscathed, and guys can get much, much better. Especially some of these younger guys that we've been waiting for the light to turn on. Guys like Isaiah Foskey, right? Looking for him to possibly, make some plays. Maybe Jordan Howden, be able to step up a little bit. I want to see some of these guys who haven't done anything, try to see if they can actually do something in this Brandon Staley defense and Kellen Moore's offense. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to you. Once again, coming up at 10:30 Eastern time, that's 9:30 Central, will be my interview with Emory Hunt of CBS Sports HQ. He's a college football analyst. If you've been rocking here with the SOTS, he's been on the show a couple of times talking Saints. He's a native of New Orleans, man. He went to McMain, then he went to Louisiana Lafayette, man. So, he's definitely embedded in Louisiana. He's doing his thing out there in New York, man, doing color commentary for the CFL. NFL Europe, and just a really good friend. So we chopped it up, man. Talked about some of the rookies that's coming into the league, rookie running backs, rookie quarterbacks. We also discussed Jaden Daniels. How would his sophomore year look? Will Shadur Sanders end up becoming a starter eventually in Cleveland, and so much more? So make sure you check it out. Let me know what you think about it. Hit that subscribe button and, help the show to grow, man. I'm really excited about it. I took a lot of pride in trying to create that State of the NFL podcast for people to enjoy and see a different perspective from me, who just, most of you probably just see me talking Saints, but just to see me talking, other NFL teams, it's been very, very fun, man. It's been a little bit, a little stressful, man, because, you got to do your research and, you know football, but you also want to, make sure that you have a clear understanding of what each fan base is kind of dealing with. So make sure that y'all check it out, man, and keep your boy, keep your boy on the up and up, man. Let me know what you think about the show. All right. You can follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8, and you can follow the State of NFL at State of the NFL. Once again, Malcolm-Jamal Warner passed away on today. If you're watching this on Monday at the age of 54, he unfortunately drowned while he was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica. Thought that it would just be the right thing, just to have him as the backdrop on today as we think about the legendary Malcolm-Jamal Warner and, some of the memories that are positive that he left with his acting, his musical performance, Broadway performances, etc. This guy has entertained us for over 4 decades, and his memory will indeed live on. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who dat?